Hello, hello, and welcome to the Color Whisperer Show. Don't you love technology? It is such a fun day today with technology, let me tell you. So, for some reason, none of my emails are working. I can't get on to here with anything but my phone. So, we're just punting a little bit today, and that's what we're going to deal with. So, welcome to the Color Whisperer Show, where we talk about all things home and healing. And today is going to be very interesting. So, I would like, if you're listening, to come in and ask some questions. Mark, if you see any questions come up, then please let me know because I may not be able to read them because I'm on my phone and it's kind of small type. So, anyway, we're going to talk about time jumping today. What's time jumping? So, I'm going to be on this summit. I'm super excited. A friend of mine who's a healer, and I've worked with her, and I think she's been on the show too. Her name was Shantana Talise, and it's been a while since she's been on. So if you're not catching every episode, you may miss her, and it's been a little while too. So she does some amazing work, but I get to be on her summit, and it's going to start next week, and we are going to be talking about channeling and time jumping. So channeling, I've kind of always done when I go into a house is I listen. I listen to the house. What's the house saying? Is it sad? Is it happy? Does it like what's there? Does it like the colors? Is it aligned with the people in the home? That's what I'm looking for. And so she asked me, well, do you channel? And I said, I don't know. Explain to me exactly what channeling is. Oh, yeah, I do that. But then she says, do you do time jumping? And I'm like, hmm. I I'd heard the term before, but when you want to be sure, like I said, well, tell me what it means. Let's just make sure we're on the same page here, right? So what time jumping is, it's a little bit law of attraction. It's a little bit mindset. But what you're doing is you're imagining the future you. Now, what does that mean? What do you want in your future? Is it a new house? Is it a new car? Is it a new job? Is it a certain amount of money breakthrough? Is it a new partner? Whatever our goal is, we're taking that, we're envisioning that future you, and then you're bringing it into the present to make it more real now, because you're borrowing from that future self that's accomplished all these wonderful things that you want to do, and you're putting it in present. And, fake it till you make it, right? Well, that's a little bit of what this is. It's got a little different energy to it, but essentially, it's along those same lines is feeling what that future person is going to feel like, and then you can step into it and say, ha, I know what that feels like now. I can create that. I can create that. It's exciting. One of the healing techniques I do actually has this really cool process where you imagine that person and what they feel like and what they look like and all this stuff. And you literally step into them. It's very cool. And it gives us for a moment that high of, yeah, I know how to be this person. Ever go to an event? Could be any kind of, like, you go to a concert, right? And it's your favorite band and they're really awesome. And you may have nosebleed seats, but the energy in the place is so high. And you come out and what do? You put the radio on, you put your CD on. Back when it was a tape, you know, You put your cassette in, you turn the radio on. It was the radio station talking about the concert we just went to. No, okay, yes, okay. Then you put your favorite song from the concert on, and you're like screaming it in your car. Okay, that may be your 20-year-old you, maybe not your 50, 60-year-old you. But you know what? We still do kind of get that excitement, right? I got to go see Duran Duran a few weeks ago, and we got out of the car and it was like, yeah, let's put some Duran Duran on. Now, when we were 18, it was a little different story. Like, yeah, we were screaming along with the music, but we've matured, whatever that means. It's okay to go back and have those moments of being 18, though. Seriously, you need them. Have you ever been to a self-development place event? Oh, no, 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 no. What happened? Wait. See, technology is not my friend today. Okay, we're back. Um, maybe you went to a self-development concert. Their performances too. Self-development or something for work where they did a lot of building the energy, and you left there going, yeah, I can do anything. And unfortunately, that feeling kind of fades a lot of times, but it's up to us to kind of keep that feeling going. How do we keep creating that? So time jumping isn't just, yeah, I went to this awesome event and I feel like I can do anything and I feel wonderful and then okay, but now let's embody that. Some of these self-development things, they'll tell you to do something with your hand or lock it in your body, some position that you hold where you can remember it. And then you can say, when you're feeling down and you're not feeling that excitement anymore, you can go back and do that hand position or standing position, whatever it is, and you can feel that power again. So this is along those same lines of bringing that power in, embodying that power. And so when she explained that to me, I said, well, I do that all the time. She says, you do? I said, yeah, I do. That's what I do with my houses. I'm creating the foundation for the next part of their life. The question my clients don't know they're asking me when they hire me is, who do I want to be for the next part of my life? Each one is asking that question. Now, there's a lot of reasons why. Sometimes a parent has died. That's a really common reason. Because when a parent has died and you're stepping into that matriarch or patriarch, you're the first generation, you have to change. And it also makes you really take a look at your life. Am I where I want to be? Am I doing what I want to do? Am I creating the life I really wanted? It gives you a sense of mortality too. Oh, maybe I don't have so much longer. Maybe mom or dad died quick, a lot younger than anybody expected. My mother died 72 overnight, like that. She wasn't sick, nothing, just gone. It was a huge surprise. Now my dad, he made it to 88. He was sick for a while. He was ready to go. It's a different kind of experience. Like there's no sudden grief, but then you're also dealing with trying to keep them out of pain, dealing with whatever is going on. So each has its own special grief. But then you're looking at, wow, I may only have so many years left. What do I want to create with it? Who do I get to be now? Who do I get to be as the head of the family? Who do I get to be as the first generation? You've got to create that. When my grandmother died, I had an uncle that kind of stepped into those shoes as matriarch. He was the second to youngest, which was interesting, but he took on the role. Nobody else did. And when he died, that was it. Nobody picked up the reins. So I don't know where a lot of my cousins are because we lost the matriarch. We lost the one person that was holding everybody together. Do you want to be that? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe that's scary. When we become empty nesters, your life changed dramatically when you had that baby. But there were parties and there were people helping you and and there was this support system. But they don't do that for empty nesting. You don't have the big party. Oh, the kids are gone. Maybe a few people do. But generally it's not, there's no baby shower. There's no empty nesting shower. And you had a house that was kid friendly, and now you don't have to have a house that's kid friendly. And that change of what mom means is huge. That change in your role is huge. And you've got to redefine yourself. And that person that had the baby 20 years ago, you're not that person anymore. You couldn't go fit in those shoes again if you wanted to, because you've grown so much. You have to find the new you that has new meaning in her life, or can be a guy too. But I tend to deal with a lot of women. So it can be a divorce or being a widow. A lot of people that have been married 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And all of a sudden that husband is gone. Doesn't matter if it's divorce or death. It feels like somebody cut off your right arm. Who am I now? That person you were when you got married doesn't exist anymore. There's too much life in the meantime. How do you be single again? Do you even, is that thought is incomprehensible. I've been married so long, I only know who I am as a married person. You've got to completely reinvent who you are as a single person. And then you'll have some friends that go away because you're single now. They don't know how to deal with you. Oh, we're just used to the couple thing. Yeah, go away. Some people, if it's a divorce or even death, they're afraid of those emotions. They're afraid of how they feel about those emotions, that grief, that possibility that it could happen to them, and they'll stay away. So you're making new friends. And you'll find that some of the old friends still only see you as a married person, even after years. And you're not that person anymore. You've grown, you've changed. But they still see you as half of a couple. They'll always ask, so how's how's the ex, or how are you doing okay without him? So unless you get into another relationship real quick, they still see you there. There's a lot of reasons for that, which don't matter at this moment, but these are the changes you're going to be going through. Maybe it's a new house, a new job that you've got to step into, being a manager, being in a whole different lifestyle. I live in LA, but I don't really live in LA. It's outside of LA. I wouldn't want to live in the real heart of LA. It's crazy over there. I live in a suburb of LA. That's fine. That's so different than if you go to Florida. It's a whole different vibe there. It's a whole different vibe in Texas. It's a whole different vibe. I saw a beautiful picture today on Facebook. This family had moved from LA and they were living in Missouri, and they were showing their porch and how wonderful it was. And there's woods and there's a river and it looks so peaceful. You can't have that in LA. Time is moving slower there for them. So all of these things change. our identity of who we are. And so many times my clients are going through these big changes. And a lot of times there's grief, there's sadness, there's fear. I don't want to make a mistake. What do I do? I don't know who I am anymore. How am I supposed to pick something that I'm not going to get tired of over the next 10 years, 5 years, 2 years? I don't want to spend all this money and have to redo it again. Right? It's a lot of money. And what they're really doing is saying, who do I want to be for the next part of my life? What's that look like? Our home is a reflection of who we are. You know, when life gets busy, you're stressed or you get sick, the mess piles up. Maybe the dishes in the sink pile up, or the laundry doesn't get put away, or maybe you need to do laundry. So like these little piles pile up. And everybody's got their own sense of how much is too much. For some people, it might be 1 cup on the counter is too much. For somebody else, it may look like something out of Dr. Seuss and the dishes are 3 feet high. My sister used to do that. Oh my. My threshold is much lower. But we all have our own threshold where we just go, oh my God, the house is too messy. I can't think straight. I can't stand this. I have to fix it. And that's when the house becomes the priority. So you start working on the piles and you do one, and the second one gets easier. The next thing you know, the piles are gone. Or in some cases, at least it's better. And sometimes when life gets hard, sometimes better is all you can do, but it's better. So when we're going through these changes, our home is a great way to help us. Our homes can hold us back. Oh my gosh. There's a Charles Dickens book, and there's a lady who was supposed to get married, and oh, I can't believe I can't remember this. Oh. Anyway, it's the only Charles Dickens book I didn't read. I will say that. Read them all, but that one. Anyway, so she wears her wedding dress all the time, and the house is frozen in time on where the wedding was. And she's many, many years later, and she's still stuck on that. Remember the Waltons, Miss Mamie? Her love was still going to come back. Oh, the war took him, but she loved that man probably more than he ever loved her. But she just knew this was it for her. She didn't want anybody else. That was it. Time stood still for her with him. So sometimes when we're going through some changes, we want to hold on to what's comfortable, what makes us feel safe. No, I don't want to change anything. Okay, that's okay. I need to have some kind of safety. I need to have some kind of normal. Knowing that my past is beside me. I had a client years ago, loved her. She had got the house. She moved into the house with her husband. Her husband had decorated the house with his ex-wife. And when I first met her, he'd been dead a few months. And initially, she couldn't touch anything. The grief was too much. But then after a few months, she called me. She told me, I was teaching a class at the time, and she says, Jeanette, we're going to work together. I need your magic. Okay. A few months later, she called me. And I went into her house, and it was stuck in the 60s. I mean, metallic wallpaper, orange shag rug, you name it, it was there. And she knew it was time it had to go. But she didn't know who she was. who she wanted to create for the next part. She'd lost being beloved wife. She'd been living in a house that she didn't even decorate. And somewhere in there was her. And she's like, where am I in all this picture? And we got to talking. And I said, well, this is going to go and this is going to go. And we're going to do this. We're going to do this, talk about our dreams and what's going to happen. And as we were talking, came out that she was still using the ex-wife's coffee pot. It's 10 years old, at least. That's a long time to have a coffee pot, in my opinion. And I said, she lived close to Costco. I said, you go to Costco today and you buy a new coffee pot. Oh, I have one in the garage. I said, let's go get it right now. Right now. And we're going to go plug it in. We're going to take that one and we're throwing it away. She needed that permission to make the house hers. She needed somebody else to be the strong one and say, it's time for me. It's time for me to make this home mine. And sometimes we do just need a little push. The next time I went there, she had peeled all that metallic wallpaper off. The beige stuff was still there, but it was a whole different house. The whole feeling of the house was totally changed because the metallic wallpaper was gone. She'd taken it back as her own. She was no longer a visitor in her home. She said, this is my home and I'm going to make it mine. And everything else just unfolded. And one of the questions she asked me a lot, and I get this question from a lot of my clients, was my style. And they're looking for something like, oh, you're Queen Anne, you're, farmhouse, you're coastal. You know what? There's so many different names out there. I heard one the other day. I was like, are you kidding me? I forget what it was. It was absolutely nonsensical. And they keep coming up with new names for the same thing. It cracks me up. It really does. And if you look at, what's the farmhouse one? Okay. So I can show you 100 different pictures of farmhouse in every different color, all kinds of different styles, some using more antique stuff, some using more modern stuff, shabby chic. Again, I can show you 100 pictures and huge variety. Boho chic. I had a client who wanted boho chic. Her idea of boho chic, my idea of boho chic, very different. That's okay. I'm not there to define boho chic for you. I'm there to find out what your definition of boho chic is. I'm there to help you figure out what your style is. And what I get to do in this process, because a lot of times people do come to me, I've many clients I've had, oh, I went into a tile store and oh my God, I left crying. They left in tears because there were so many decisions they could not make them. They could see a million choices for what their future life could be, and they could not decide on what was theirs. Which one of these people did they want to be? Because it is overwhelming. I go into a tile store, I'm like, oh, I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this. And I see 100 bathrooms in my head, 100 kitchens in my head. It's very easy for me to create a million things just walking through a tile store. However, that's not what I'm looking for. When I'm looking for a client, I'm looking for their style. And all the rest of the fluff just disappears. So what do I mean by their style? So each one of us has our own style blueprint. God made us all beautiful. And I follow that blueprint. This is where my magic of whispering comes in, is beauty heals. And I restore beauty, not just to the home, but to the client. Because what I do is I take the elements of the home, the spirit of the home, and the spirit of my client. And I see a brighter them than they often are at the point when they call me. Ever have a coach, a therapist, or a mentor, and they're like, I see big things for you. Like, I can't see. I'm just stuck. And right? I went to an ASID function a couple of years ago, and there was a caricaturist there, and he drew me as a TV star. Let me tell you, I did not see myself as a TV star. I don't know if I still don't see myself as a TV star. Maybe I'm a podcast star. What do you think? Well, we're getting there.
No,
But
you're a
we're getting camera. We're getting on camera.
you're a
Yes, Mark.
podcast star. You're a definitely podcast star. There's no doubt about that. I was going to add something to what you were saying because I was listening to part of the conversation while also being here at the center and everything. But you were talking about how you adapt and everything, and that actually came up as I told you. Mom was celebrating this past weekend her 82nd birthday, and one of the things that happened is I think I mentioned to you that the boys were going to want to be in the swimming pool, but even though the boys were there, all three of them, my brother's two kids, my two nephews, as well as his lady love's son. I don't think the daughter was trying to get in the pool and everything, but the three boys. And every time I looked out at the pool, I didn't really see them in the waters that much. So I'm thinking that maybe the pool was too cool because he just recently opened it. So they were doing a lot of walking around the pool and observing the pool, but I didn't really see them get in the pool that much, even though they both did take a shower later. So maybe they did get in the pool at some point, but I know that we couldn't let the dog in the pool because the dog would tear up the lining and do other damage and things. But it was just interesting that she has to do that every year, is to prepare the pool and adjust the pool so that the boys can have that enjoyment. And even though they're teenagers now, they still enjoy the pool and everything. But I was sitting there, even when Mom asked me to go and get them, she was like, go get the boys. And I looked outside and I was like, where the boys at? And apparently they were already had enough fun with the pool, and they'd come out and were in the house taking their showers so they could get ready for our supper to celebrate Mom and just to be there in her company and everything. But it was fun watching them. But I was like, I think even some of the friends and family members, well, mostly family members, they were there because it was about 10 of us, and we were all going like, they don't seem like they're in the pool. They just are enjoying the pool. But like I said, got to wait for the temperature to adjust right and everything. And it was evening time, so the pool might have been a little bit too cold. Just my thoughts.
Well, and that's going to be a memory that really sticks with them with their grandma. They're going to associate that pool with their grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe when they get their own house someday, like, I have, when my grandmother died, my mom was the youngest of 9. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot of people ahead of us before we could all get something.
Mm-hmm.
And she had these little fryers that had like it probably wasn't real hair, but it had hair around. And my grandmother was very religious, and they were just like the funniest things. And every time I'd go look at the little fryers, and I'm like, Mom, I want the fryers. And she was, oh no, those were taken many, many people ago. I said, okay, I want this then. She had a little curio case, and like I went through several things in the curio case. And I said, each one, she's like, oh no, so-and-so got that. No, so-and-so got that. And I'm like, okay. So what's left, Mom? What
Sometimes
can
you do.
I have? What can I have? And she says, well, there's a statue of Mary. It's like 30 inches tall. I said, okay, I'll take that. And so people come to my house and they see a statue of Mary. Now, a good Catholic has her in a very special place. And, she's been in a bunch of different places, but she doesn't have like the typical Catholic place that you would have. So for a while there, she was guarding the couch to keep the cat from clawing at it. So she's moved around quite a bit, and people always go, oh, Jeanette, I didn't know you were that religious. It's my grandma, it keeps me close to her. So there's a lot of different ways that we do that.
No, you said that, and that reminds me of a couple of things. One is my brother does have a curio case. I think it belonged to one of the grandmothers. It might have belonged to Mom's mother. I'm trying to remember whether it was hers or Dad's mom, but it's definitely one that is now in Malik's possession, and he's got that curio case, if I remember correctly, and all along those lines. So yeah, sometimes it goes down, and you're interested to see who gets what and how they get it, and all in that kind of space. I think that my Aunt Julie, who was with us this time as well, has got some stuff. And of course, she's been dealing with the loss of her husband because that wasn't that long ago. And sometimes even that can even be interesting because one of the things that I learned is that my cousin Tanya is very much and has always been. I don't think that I'm speaking out of school when I say this. She's somewhat of a tomboy. She likes sports and she likes to be engaged in sports. But I never remember her being engaged in golf. But one of the things that my aunt was telling me was that she's now picked up the game of golf. She's been also on a weight loss journey, so she feels like she's definitely slimmed down and is doing good on this weight loss journey and everything. But she has now picked up golf, which was her dad's game and everything. But my aunt was telling me that there were two watches that were given as gifts, both to my uncle, the one that passed is her husband, as well as another uncle who has also passed, and he was in deficient. So on one of them, the second hand was the fishing rod. So the fishing rod would be the second hand. And on the other one, it was the golf club. So like the swinging of the golf club. And that's what she gave to my cousin, who has now picked up this game. It was her dad's game. So my aunt had that watch, the kind of novelty watch, and gave it to my cousin and all along those lines. So she's developing her love of this game that was her dad's game and everything. And who knows, maybe she'll be as skilled as he was, because he definitely taught some major players, including some basketball players like Michael Jordan and others, about the game of golf, and James Worthy. And he also was winning some of these age division tournaments. Like here we have the newspaper that has them divided by age ranges, and he would win in his age category, and for several years before health got in the way and everything. But the last thing I was going to bring up about ponds and about water, which you'll also enjoy, is part of the conversation that came up was we were talking about the pond that my cousin is, not that cousin, but another cousin, inherited and everything, because the lands are oftentimes divided, and so the next generation will get the land and all along those lines. Oh, she just disappeared. Oh, she comes back. But what I was going to share, and I hope she does come back and all along those lines, is this notion of definitely how that can take place and all along those lines. But the pond was shared, and when the pond was shared in that space and everything, it had what did it have? There was the pond, and in the pond was my cousin is expanding the pond. That's what I was trying to say. He's expanding the pond. So the pond, because I always thought the pond was really cool, and I wouldn't mind having the pond myself. But my cousin, I think Jonathan, has got that pond, and apparently he's expanding the pond, and who knows, he might even put some fish and maybe some breeders in there and all on those lines, and it can be a very successful pond and all in that way. But that's what I was going to share with Jeanette, and hopefully she watched some of this and is seeing what I was saying and all along those lines. I know that hopefully she's going to come back, but until she comes back, I'm going to play a couple of spots and all along those lines. And so, there she's back. She's back. Oh, she's back.
It's been a tech day.
No, you said the tech day, but I was just sharing about that pond and everything. But my cousin, Jonathan, who is the Aunt Carolyn and Uncle Skip's youngest son, because they're like me and Malik, there's the two boys, and it was Emmett and John, and then from mom and dad, it's me and Malik. But yeah, John has the pond that was the grandma and granddad's pond. And what I was sharing is that he's actually expanding the pond. So he's actually making the pond a little bit bigger. And is it, maybe he'll get into some fishing, maybe he'll add some fish to it and everything. But it's just interesting, like you were saying, that sometimes even the next generation can enhance what they already have. That's what
absolutely. All right. So let me get back to how we can discover our style, mm-hmm. and how that beauty can restore us. Thank you so much, Mark.
No problem.
So my clients, they always ask me, what's my style? What do I want to be? And that's really part of the question is, who am I? That's what they're asking me. Who am I? And I don't try to put a label on them. I just show them their own beauty, their intrinsic beauty. So I'm looking at their energy. What's their energy like? Are they light and fun and excited? Are they more calm? Are they very serious? Do they need a lot of calm? Are they doing things to be bubbly and movement? And, are they very bold? There's different personality types that I use for what I do. And I figure out which one of those personality types. But then each one of us has our own individual blueprint. And that's my job, is to figure out what that client's blueprint is. What's unique about them? And if there's a couple people, then I take into account both parties. And we also look at the house. What's the home's energy? And I take all these elements, and this is where I feel like a surrogate, or maybe I'm a baker or something. But I take all these different elements of where they all combine. And then that's where we create from. So when I go to the tile store for a client, I'm looking at what's the style of the house? What's the style of my client? What kind of colors will make my client feel the way they want to feel in this space? What kind of shapes? Oh, yes, shapes have an energy. Did you know that? What kind of shapes are going to give my client the right energy to thrive? So then when I go to the tile store, the fabric store, wherever it is, furniture store, doesn't matter. I'm looking at all of these things. And I have this very finite list of things that have to be incorporated into anything I put in their home, whether it's a picture, paint color, fabric color, accessory, flooring. All of this has to fit in this finite list of what fits their energy. And so, really, what I'm doing is I'm restoring beauty to them. I'm restoring hope to them. And I'm showing them their own inner beauty. I'm surrounding them with it. And so they're not going to get bored with it in a couple of years, because they're not going to get bored of themselves. Now, we all have something in our closet that's really old. Maybe a coat, it may be a shirt, doesn't matter what it is. We all have it, and it's there because it still makes us feel like $1,000,000 every time we wear it. Now, odds are that has the elements that fit your space, that fit you, because you do feel like $1,000,000 in it. And a lot of people don't really know how to find the right clothing for them, because we're getting bombarded with a bunch of different messages. It's the same way with our homes. You watch HGTV and you get 50 different messages. This is good for you. This is bad for you. Da, 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 da. There's a million different home magazines. There's blogs. There's everybody's got an opinion. And then I've even had, people hire me as a contractor, and then they ask they ask as a designer, but then sometimes ask the contractor what they think. Okay. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's a designer. They're just not all good ones. But you want your home to feel welcome, feel like you. Have you ever walked into a space and you're just like, so when we have these stress times, when we have these changes in life, what happens? We constrict. It's hard to breathe. I'm just barely hanging on. What was that movie many years ago? Dancing. I'm dancing as fast as I can. She's just barely holding on. Okay. But then you get to a point where it's like, I have to let go. Because the only way for me to survive is actually to let go. Who do I get to be for the next part? I get to create now. What do I really want? And so that's what I do. That's that time jumping coming in. How do I want to feel? And I take those elements and I give them the foundation. We create a foundation that is a reflection of their beauty, of the home's beauty. And what that does is it restores their vision of beauty within themselves. And, you go look at a picture that really speaks to you, and you're just kind of like, Maybe it's a building that excites you, architecture, and you look at it, you're just in awe and wonder, and there's a sense of openness. Maybe it's a song. You know, music speaks to us, right? We all have a song. One just came into your head, probably. That just makes us feel good, makes us feel happy. You know, there's some songs you just can't not dance to. So it's getting back in touch with that beauty, finding hope again. This lady with the coffee pot, we got everything down and we picked everything that fit her energy. By the time we were done, she was dating, she was happy, she was having bunko parties, she was doing all these amazing things. When we first got together, she wasn't doing anything. She was in her house and she was struggling to come up for air. She teased me. She says, I'm hiring you because you're more fun than a therapist. There's a lot of therapy in what I do. A lot of therapy in what I do. And it's so much fun to watch the house come to life, but also my clients come to life. It's truly amazing how much they change. And you're saying, oh, well, yes, anybody can do that. You know, anytime you refresh a house, it's going to feel better. It's not necessarily true. So I was hired by a client to do the outside color of her house. And I got there and she had done everything inside already. And usually there's this feeling when I get finished working on a home. It just plain feels good. Just plain feels good. And when my client says she feels hugged every time she walks through the door, and I love that because, yes, that is exactly how I want somebody to feel. So I went into this house and I was like, what's going on here? Everything was redone, refreshed, and the house still felt icky, tired, sad. Now, it wasn't necessarily what I would have done design-wise, but it still should have felt better than it did. She needed a home energy clearing, which I did. And when I got done with doing the home energy clearing, the house felt like a house that I've done. Her little girl said the next day, I put my ear up to the wall, I could hear the house singing. Yeah, it's happiness, joy. And when I'm working with a client, a lot of times, if it's a long project, I didn't know this, but I'm doing the home energy clearing the whole time I'm there. Sometimes it needs something more. Now I can do it purposefully and I don't have to just, oh, I'm here. I can make that process a lot shorter. And I've worked with several clients who like they got it. They're like, yeah, Jeanette, I want you to do an energy clearing for me. Bam. Changes like that. Just like that. Because when you're in your home and it doesn't feel good, it pulls on you, it drains your energy. But if you're hearing the house singing, if it's hugging you and you walk in the house and you're like, oh, I'm so happy to be home. I'm here. It's hugging you, it's supporting you. And that gives you space and energy to go achieve those goals, to make them a reality, to step into that new you. So it's the foundation for something new, something different, something exciting. Maybe a little bit scary, but that's okay. We're here to figure it out and give you a strong place that you can recreate. Because when you're home is a reflection of who you are, it gives you that support, makes you feel like $1,000,000 bucks. And that's what it's all about. I had a client who lived by herself, and she was probably in her 70s, early 70s when COVID hit. And I called her up and I said, "Are you okay? You know, you're by yourself. Can I do anything? Just, and, a single girl's got to stick together too, But I was just checking on her. I'm like, do you need anything? You know? And she says, "Jeanette, you did such an amazing job in my home. It just makes me happy. As long as I can be in my home, I don't care. My house makes me so happy." It was 10 years after I did it. Some true test of time there. And that's what our house should be doing. If your house isn't making you happy, then you need to find out why. Reach out to me. Let's do a 30-minute consultation. Let's see what's going on in your house. Let's find out why your house isn't happy. Sometimes it's a simple change. All you have to do is change the paint. I had a client years ago. The daughter was sleeping, 9-year-old daughter was sleeping in the room with mom and dad because she was having nightmares over 9/11. I said, "Show me her room." So we go inside, and it was a beautiful room. Mom had done a nice job, but there are these stripes on the wall, about like so. See, how can I? There we go. About like so. Unfortunately, the little girl's dyslexic, so the stripes weren't this; they were this. How can I do it? There we go. And 9/11 didn't end for her because it looked like the towers right before they fell. And I explained to her mom, I said, yellow is going to help her learn better. And you get rid of the stripes and the nightmares will go away. Now, who'd have thought? My kid's having troubles. I should call a designer. Floored me even. I was new. Now I'm like, yeah, call a designer. You'd be shocked how many problems we can solve. Or at least I can solve. Because our home is so much a part of our well-being. And when the home feels good, it gives you energy to do all those other things that you really want to do, to time jump, to step into that new person and create the life you've always wanted to live. All right. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, design@thecolorwhisperer.com. And we're not going to have a show next week, but the following week, I want to do a Q&A. So I want you to send me your questions. We're just gonna, like, I don't care what it is. How far should a chandelier be above a table? How tall should a lamp be? How big should an area rug be? If you want to, send me your pictures and we'll talk about your home, and we'll make sure Mark can get them on screen, and we'll go through it and see what you can do. So we're just going to do a full-on Q&A, practicum. It's just going to be fun. Hey, Mark.
It sounds like it's going to be fun, and I'm expecting all kinds of questions. I was wanting to know, can we have, I know a lot of the questions are going to be very serious, like, what color carpet should I have? What color should my TV match my couch? And so it's very serious questions. But I want to know, are we allowing crazy questions like, can you actually swing from a chandelier? So are we allowing all kinds of questions and all of those lines? So I want to know, are we allowing all questions of all sorts? Because, some people will think that they can swing from chandeliers, and some people might have other things that they want to do as well. So we're allowing all questions.
I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want to ask it, go for it.
Okay.
I think of a certain weight, you always see that in the movies, don't you? Like the good guy, or is Errol Flynn, was that one of the first ones where they swung from the chandelier to get the bad guy? I mean, that seems to be a running theme in movies. I've seen that several times, and they are, especially, they're meant to hold a lot of heavy weight, but a human being adds a lot more weight than a chandelier.
Yeah, and there's always the stunts, and some people even if they are thinking about their own uh, sexuality, will sometimes think that they can do crazy stunts along those lines. But I'm going like, no, I don't think you want to try that because that might cause all kinds of injuries, and that might not be a good thing to have happen in your life and everything. I know in the past you've mentioned the fact that water beds used to be stylish and used to be cool, but now they're not as hip as they used to be. So,
I
and
haven't seen one in forever.
I haven't seen a waterbed in forever. But then again, I also haven't seen, and I remember, I think I even told you that I was a kid in one, but I don't know the last time I went to a house and saw a bunk bed. But I know that they exist, and I know
Oh
that
no, they do. It's just because it's just an age thing. If you don't know that many people with kids, they're still doing bunk beds.
yeah, makes sense. So the bunk beds are still a thing and everything. And maybe another question people can ask you, because I have seen this as a question. I'm just trying to give people an idea so they can give some ideas of questions to ask, since it's going to be a free for all and everything. Is some people are tempted by this great piece of appliance, but sometimes I think that the temptation is too great, because I have seen people that have put the mini fridge, whether it's in a dorm or whether it's in their house, in the actual bedroom or the living room. And to me, that might be a recipe for disaster, because if you got all that food in your bedroom, then, well, one, it's going to be messy, and two, the temptation's there all day long and all night long. Because if you got the
Well, I think usually that's more for drinks.
right,
And so I don't think it's so much food as much as it's drinks. In a bedroom, I don't know if you need to eat that bad in the middle of the night, then but I would suspect um that's probably more in a very large bedroom
right.
where there's a seating area where you might do some reading or some talking, or so it's nice to have some snacks or some drinks there. In a living room, it's definitely about drinks.
Mhm.
And I don't know, what kinds of snacks would you want in there? Maybe cheese, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cheese. Some people like their chocolate. Some people like their
Chocolate.
just Snickers ice cream. So there could be all kinds of things in that space.
Yeah.
I know that another thing that is a furniture item that people forget about, but I know I've got a couple of them, and it's a small item. It's a very small item, but maybe some of our listeners will want to know what kind of coasters they should have. Because I know I've got some coasters that are related to my alma mater, and I've got some coasters that I've gotten from different events. Because
Oh,
as you know,
man.
that is a very simple item. It's part of the furniture design, but it's also something that a lot of times people like to give away as part of their promotions and everything. Because I know many businesses that would give you a coaster for whatever they are trying to promote, and then that can help protect the drinker, would do whatever coasters do.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, speaking of coasters, so I was just giving some people some ideas so that they can take them and everything. Because you said we're going to be off next week. We'll have to discuss what rerun we'll run and everything. But hopefully in 2 weeks they will have an idea. I'll send it out on my chat if that's what you would like to do, and I'll
Yeah,
hopefully.
and they can send them in early. So if they're not on live, they can send the questions either to you or to me. My email is design@thecolorwhisperer.com. That's 3 words, The Color Whisperer. Don't forget the second ER.com. And I will be more than happy to, we'll answer the questions live. But if they want to, they can also text me at 626-485-6354. So send me your pictures, send me your questions, and we will do a Q&A.
That sounds like a great idea. I'm liking this idea. I think we should also put it out in some chat groups. I might go find some of those
Yeah.
chat groups and see if they are interested in having some questions to be answered by the lovely Jeanette. They can also send it on my email, bluesradio@gmail.com. And if it's okay with you, Jeanette, I might even mention this on some of our other shows, like our new show and some of the other shows, because some of those people have homes and they might even have some questions as well. So I do believe in sharing the wealth and each other helping each other as well. So definitely I might even bring it up on both my shows as well as other people's shows and see if they've got some questions for you. So hopefully we'll have at least 10 or 15, maybe even 20 questions when we do this in about 2 weeks and everything. And there might even be some questions coming from other parts of the world, because I might even reach out to some friends
I'm
in
fine with that.
India and in Australia and seeing if they've got some questions because they might have different context as to the questions they're asking, because I'm imagining that housing is also regional, meaning that there are different styles depending on where you are
Yeah,
at degrees.
indeed,
Cool. Well, on
indeed.
that note, I know that you have your favorite spice, and I know that I've got to get my spice as well. And we've got to get some new spices because she is an amazing lady and everything. So if it's okay with you, I want to put on the Kendu spice. But you were having a great discussion, and I was glad that things were going on in this building. So you pretty much got to run the show and brought up a couple of things here and there. But you did a great job as always. But right now it's time for some Kendu spices.
Thank you.
No problem.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Kendu Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Kendu Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Kendu Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Kendu Spice a try.